fact that most people don't know is that when we started this picture, I didn't know it, but I found out very quickly. We had a studio that was going out of business. We had a toy company that had just lost $400 million on the He-Man toy line, and we didn't know that either. And so we had two very desperate entities hoping that this picture was going to solve all of their problems. And I had to direct this picture under the most extreme circumstances you could imagine. Every day was a crisis of some kind. And some of those crises were even, we're shutting you down today, this movie's over. And I kept saying, it's not over, we're going to keep going. Somehow we're going to get through this, and we did.
From a distant galaxy, they have come to Earth. Dolph Lundgren as He-Man, Frank Langella as Skeletor. Only they have the powers to be masters of the universe. Live the adventure.
About 1986, we started to develop a live-action movie. My group, me, an executive by the name of John Weems, went around and talked to a bunch of studios. Universal Studios was interested. And then Canon came to us and made an offer and a deal that we felt was the right thing to do at the right time.
And Canon worked out this deal with Mattel. The deal was that Canon would put up half the money and Mattel would put up half the money. And Canon told Mattel, okay, you put up the first half. So Mattel put up the first half, and we very quickly burned through that money. And so Mattel said, okay, time for you to kick in the second half. And Canon said, no. So Mattel had to pony up the rest of the money if they wanted to see their film made. And they were desperate to have it made because they were hanging their next year's toy line on the success of that film and generating publicity for their toy line.
In the end, I think Mattel released them from like a payment that was due that we released them from so that they could finish the film.
Mattel had heavy say. They had approvals over everything, over costumes, over the script, everything.
We had veto rights more than approval rights. If something was not appropriate for He-Man, we could say that.
And Mattel is, now listen, He-Man can't kill anybody. He-Man can't really hurt anyone, not really. He-Man, it's like, okay guys, like we're making an action movie with an action hero. This is live action films, not cartoons. So, so one of the reasons we created these generic, everyone said, oh, they copied Star Wars. No, we created generic robot warriors so that He-Man could smash and fight and blast them, because he couldn't actually do that to anyone living, because that would have been a no-no. At the start of production, He-Man was at his peak. By the time we were about halfway through the movie, the decline had started in the toy sale, big time. It just suddenly dropped. And I'll never forget, I'm not going to tell you the executives' names, but I got this call one day, and I had said in an earlier conversation with them, guys, go see what action movies are right now. You want to do an action movie, He-Man's got to kick some ass. He's got to really be up there. We've got to see him battling, blasting guys, and and so I got a call one day. They said, we have to meet with you right away. They came down the set and they pulled me in a room. They go, toy sales are down. Everything's on this movie. You got to just. And I said, well, we're doing the best we can. But we're also trying to obey all these rules. And one of them goes, we don't care what you do. We don't care what you do. Have him kill people. Have him blood, guts, gore, sex. Do whatever you have to. Just make sure this movie's a hit.
It was a low-ball budget for us, so we didn't have that much money to work with. We had gone on a location scout. It was up in Idaho, this awful lava pit, extraterrestrial looking place with all kinds of caves and lava rock formations and everything. They ran out of money, so we wound up shooting at Vasquez Rocks. Everybody knows the location so well because they've seen it in so many movies.
Enough. Where is your strength? Are you ready to kneel now? Proud warrior.
I sought out Frank Langella to play Skeletor. I knew there was going to be an actor behind a mask. I wanted an actor of enough power and stature that his performance would come through that mask. I put a lot of emphasis on Skeletor once I had Frank Langella in the role. I wanted him to carry the picture. I was accepting of the fact that Dolph came with the picture. I was concerned that Dolph would be able to carry the scenes. He was brand new. He'd only done the Rocky movie. I did my best to restructure the story almost through the eyes of Skeletor, so that the backbone and spine of the project was carried by Skeletor, and which was fine anyway, because he's the villain. He's pulling all the strings anyway.
Frank Langella is a consummate performer. When we all heard that he was going to be playing Skeletor, it was like there isn't anybody else in the world that is going to do the job that Frank will do. And that's why really I don't think anybody objected to all the input he put into it, because what he pulled in, he was going to give back out again, and he did.
In creating Skeletor, I took photographs of Frank Langella. We had already cast Frank as Skeletor and started working over his face, designing the makeup that would go into that. And Frank was very particular about what he thought would work, what he thought wouldn't work. And his ideas were always right on. He was very conscientious about the cloak, for example. It had to move just right. We kept designing and building different cloaks until he got one that just moved perfectly. And it was really Frank Langella who made that character come to life.
And I also was aware, I mean, I hate to say this on camera, but I was aware that Dolph, it was his second picture. I wanted to surround him with a good company of actors that would keep the screen alive and would also help him to bring his performance up too.
I saw the rough cuts, I listened to Dolph Lundgren's voice, and I just about had a heart attack.
Now, why are you so important to Skeletor?
I wanted him to redub his voice, get someone else to speak for him. In his contract, he had the right to do it 2 or 3 more times, and he finally got it to where it wasn't too bad. And I said, it's okay if He-Man has a little bit of an accent, but you got to be able to understand him.
Right.
I was concerned with the picture, and I wanted to make the picture the best it could be. We actually brought in a few actors and did loop as a test to show the studio. One of them was flawless. One of them was flawless. I mean, to this day, I wish we'd have done it. But Menahem was like, nope, going to stick with Dolph. We're going to go with him. And, you know, it's ultimately their call.
He-Man. If I kill him, I make him a martyr, a saint. No, I want him broken.
One of the reviewers pointed out that the villains, meaning Meg and Frank, to some degree were more compelling characters, that you were more interested in them than the heroes. And to some degree it was true, because they both gave great performances, and we gave them some great lines. We gave them some great scenes.
Oh my God, Kevin, you all right? He's bleeding. What happened?
The other interesting casting choice was, you know, we were looking for the lead girl, and we got introduced to Courtney Cox, and Courtney Cox had just done the Springsteen video. In fact, that was how she was. This is the girl who's in the Springsteen video. That's how it was told. This is the girl in the Springsteen video. You got to see her. She was good, but I just didn't feel she fit the part, because she had actually done what a lot of actresses do. She put on a lot of makeup. She wanted to look very sexy, but this role was more of an all-American girl. And my casting director actually was the one who said, I want to bring her back in one more time. I want you to look at her one more time. So I have to give credit to her as well, Vicki Thomas. So Vicki said, let me bring her back in. And she called Courtney and said, ditch the makeup, come in jeans, just be yourself. Courtney came in the next day in jeans, no makeup, as herself. We got along great. She had such a great personality, and she was beautiful. And she just nailed it that day. And I knew right then, okay, she's the one. Told Vicki, I said, you're right, I'm glad you brought her in again. She was a fine, but she had great natural ability, and I think she did a great job. Frank did a great job. Very happy with the cast overall.
It was an extraordinary time to be working for Canon. You have to understand that at this point in time, the most films that any of the major studios had in production was Warner Brothers, and they had 6 films in production. Canon had 84 films in production.
There were 3 times during the making of the film where literally the payroll didn't arrive that day, and the crew was all going to walk, and I had to get them all together and say, you're here, let's finish the day, and if at the end of the day there's no money, I understand, but meanwhile, Elliot Schick, our producer, he's going to go get the money. So I can't promise you, but I can tell you we're going to do everything we can. I think we'll have your money by the end of the day. So, you know, you don't hear all these stories in making a movie. What you have to do as a director to, you know, to keep things going. And the guys said, okay, well, you're right, we're here, let's do it, let's do the day. So we'd get through the day, and somehow or other, Elliot would get to Canon, and somehow they would find the money, and they would get their payroll, and we kept going.
So Canon was really pressuring Gary, and they decided to pull the plug. They didn't want to do the huge battle sequence at the end of the set.
Yeah, they shut me down on the set in the middle of the battle. And I mean, literally with someone picking up a card and putting it in front of the camera and saying, you're done. I mean, in the middle of a shot. So that was kind of crazy. And I said, you know, we don't have the end. There's no, I mean, we don't have the final confrontation. We have the setup. We did the clash. We had the moment where He-Man and Skeletor clash with the sword, right? And on the set that day, I had an idea, which was, because I knew we were running short on time, and I knew they might do this to me. So I had them do that clash once, and I told the DP, I want you to I want you to pull, basically kill the lights in the soundstage and just let them fade to darkness, because if I'm not able to finish this battle, then I'm going to do a thing. I'd thought through that when they go, the power is so much that it like saps the power from everything, and then we're in this dark void, and that's where I can do whatever I got to do to get us to the end. So that night, I got them to let me do some random battle footage. Even though we shut down the set, I kept Skeletor and Dolph and the DP and this, and I got them to let me shoot some footage of them battling. It wasn't very well choreographed. It was a very quick choreographic job. We kept the lights out, we backlit them, which is what you see in the film, and we had everything now. So I had enough that I could piece together the battle, but we did not have the end, that moment where he hits the sword, it slides, he reaches for it, grabs it, all that last bit, none of that was shot. I said, okay, well, I guess if we're done, we're done, and we're gonna have to come back and get this other stuff.
It was a shame because I had really designed that set for sword fighting. I made sure that there were ups and downs and overs and unders and all kinds of ways it could be used to get the most out of this battle.
We came back about 3 or 4 months later, and we got one day, kind of gave me one day at the Boss studio, and we boarded it very carefully. And every single shot, every cut, every close-up, everything you see there was all done in one day, and we got it, and we were able to put the ending on the movie. It was very, very, very touch and go. And at one point, the Canon guys, Golan Globus said, well, it doesn't matter. We're just, they'll fight. They'll just fight, and then we'll fade out. It's like, you can't fade out.
Based on a modern legend, complete with heroes, warriors, and villains.
Stop him!
Masters of the Universe, the motion picture, required the talents of hundreds of artists, technicians, and performers. A shooting schedule of several months, and a multi-million-dollar budget. This is the story of how the legend was brought to life.
Find them.
We wanted to show kind of mythic characters in a contemporary time. So the story that we tell really starts with an epic struggle in this world called Eternia, far, far away from our planet.
One of the greatest challenges for the filmmakers was creating an alien world and its inhabitants, including the most powerful man in the universe, He-Man, portrayed by Dolph Lundgren, Sylvester Stallone's co-star from Rocky IV.
Basically, when we first met Dolph, he is He-Man. He smiles, and he has charm and charisma and all those things that make him a friendly person.
He-Man is the hero of the 80s. He's a very clean hero, a very kind of an old-fashioned good guy who's not excessively violent. He is intelligent, has a good sense of humor, and he always saves the good people from the bad people.
The ultimate bad guy is the film's villain, Skeletor, played by Frank Langella, the Tony Award-winning actor, best remembered for his Broadway and movie portrayals of Dracula.
He doesn't walk into rooms, he enters rooms. And when he enters, he has entered.
I dare anything! I am Skeletor!
He is definitely a villain that you will love to hate.
Other familiar characters include Skeletor's henchmen, Beastman, Blade, and Evil Lyn. Fighting on the side of good are Man-at-Arms, Teela, and the Sorceress of Grayskull.
We've kept those key characters and one or two others, but really we've created a whole new world of characters that support them.
The new creatures for the film began as artist sketches, which were made into scale models, from which the actual makeup was created.
Find the key. Tear this place apart.
Among the new characters are Sorod, the Lizard Man, Karg the Assassin, and Gwildor, the Inventor.
I call it the Cosmic Key.
Once all the characters were cast and the sets were built, the filming itself began.
This shoot actually was much, much harder than Rocky IV, physically, much harder. Jumping off buildings and going through glass windows, and my hair caught fire one time. I got a few sword hits in my head. For 2 weeks, I was standing on this disc. One was on the side of a truck, and there were cameras rigged, and it was sitting on some kind of swivel, like this. And the truck would run down the main street of this town at 40 miles an hour. They'd strap you in the ski boots, but there's nothing to hold on to. So it's a little scary because you can't, you know, you have to keep your balance just by using your body weight. You have to get into it and feel like you're there and it's real. And that is hard.
The final touch was put on the film by Academy Award-winning special visual effects wizard, Richard Edlund, famous for his work on Star Wars, Raiders of the Lost Ark, and Ghostbusters.
Action, stunts, wire work, I mean, you name it is in this film. It's like a textbook of everything that can go into a film. Really, the only limitation is your imagination.
Let this be our final battle!
Thank you for clicking on our video, everybody. If you like what you saw here, please make sure you like the video and subscribe and share with your friends who like this sort of content. Joblo remains an independent company, and we appreciate all of your support.